of missiles as well at central Israel. According to Israeli forces, all the missiles launched by Iran were intercepted by their air defenses, but visuals show extensive damage caused by missile debris. The IRGC claimed to have hit an Israel-linked boat in the Persian Gulf, and it conducted attacks in other locations across the Gulf region as well, targeting American forces. The fate of the war in West Asia now hangs on the high-stakes talks being carried out via mediators. Donald Trump's self-imposed deadline for the strikes on Iran's energy sites ends on the 6th of April. But so far, there is no word of concessions on the demands laid out by both the sides. And let me welcome on the broadcast Hafid Butleib. He's a geopolitical and international relations analyst joining us live from Casablanca. Hafid, good evening. Welcome to WION. Just a short while back, Pete Hegseth put out a rather aggressive stance saying that military operations will continue. We will keep bombing Iran if they don't make a deal. On the other hand, you've got the US president, Pete Hegseth's boss, who seems rather frustrated with NATO allies not really joining this war directly, and also saying that if they want oil, they should either buy American oil or take their own oil. Do you therefore think America is now slowly putting the onus of reopening the Strait of Hormuz on Europe?
Not necessarily. The United States are raising the stakes on opening the Strait of Hormuz, but they are, in the meantime, conducting or transporting their major military ships like the USS San Diego or the USS Tripoli that have arrived later last week. And this would, in the same fashion that it has started before the war, this would indicate that they are preparing a ground invasion. And I think that this tone used with the European countries and with the rest of the world aims to raise the stake prior to an operation that is presented as lifting, as Pete had just said, lifting the way for the free world. And this is a way for the United States to give a very strong value to this upcoming military operation, mainly, according to me, mainly for their internal opinion, more than for these countries. And they are trying to work on their internal opinion to prepare them for a ground invasion of some islands in the Hormuz Strait in order to free this strait, because Iran has showed a considerable ability to play on this military and diplomatic leverage.
Understandably so, Hafid, the fact that the approval ratings for Donald Trump have been going down, whether it's about the war or even domestic factors such as education and healthcare, and with the midterms approaching now, of course, the focus will be there. But there's also another key statement that Pete Hegseth said a short while back, and that was that lesser drones and missiles are coming in from the Iranian side. You say that a ground invasion might be on the horizon. How do you think this is going to play out in the next few hours and days? Do you think that Iran will let that happen, considering the fact that, the Trump administration has been giving out these hints rather publicly that there might be a ground invasion? Troops have reached West Asia.
Well, there are two kinds of invasion that we can imagine. There is the full-scale invasion, exactly what happened between Russia and Ukraine in 2022, and this is now excluded. We can exclude it because there are not enough troops on the ground. In 2003, the United States have moved 500,000 soldiers prior to the invasion in March, in the 20th of March 2003 in Iraq. So it is not this kind of invasion that will take place. It is more a limited in time and space attacks to definitely harm the capacities on the coastal area of Hormuz and the island of Qashm and Ladakh that are the facade or the shores, Iranian shores that are in Hormuz. And so therefore this would aim only for freeing the Strait of Hormuz and reestablishing the natural commerce through the central lanes that would be freed in that case. And this, of course, Iranians will have to fight, of course. They will have the challenge, like any countries that have been invaded or fighting with Americans, the challenge to show that they can resist and they can inflict the Americans heavy damages. And this would be very efficient on 6 months before elections if they want to harm Donald Trump. But this and somehow would expose them to the American opinion, and they will opinion polls will necessarily, in case of Americans getting hurt, of course, will be divided between those supporting a stronger strike against Tehran and those who would be in favor of withdrawing.
Okay.
But then this will polarize the natural electorate, the Republicans and Democrats,
Sure.
as is always usually was.
Yeah. Sure. Hafid, quickly then my last question to you. While we are considering all of these domestic factors and we're talking about America and Iran, what we seem to be forgetting is Israel. Israel has said that IDF soldiers will not be part of the ground invasion, or so the reports suggest, that they're not interested in the ground invasion if the US chooses to do so. And that, of course, changes the entire dynamic, doesn't it?
Yes, Israel has now only a single objective, obviously. They already stated that most of their targets have been hit in Iran, and things will be concluded in the upcoming days. They have also clearly conducted reforms inside Israel to allow death penalty, capital punishment against Palestinians. So now they are moving again their interests to their inner land and to their close borders, especially south of Litani region in Lebanon. The main objective for Israel was to expand there. Hezbollah gave them this opportunity because they have unilaterally broke the deal with Israel and attacked after the death of Ali Khamenei. So they have unilaterally started this new war. But Israel will not withdraw from south of Lebanon henceforth. They will keep their land. They will keep the gains that they will take. And I think this is now their main objective. They already complained. Israel Katz, the Minister of Defense, Israeli Minister of Defense, have complained of lack of soldiers in a way to avoid to dodge the invitation of the United States to be associated with them in a ground invasion. So they have openly said they lack troops. They have their objective in southern Lebanon, and that's it. Now USA has to manage how to stop this crisis and to stop this war.
Okay, let's wait and see how this really pans out in the next few days. Thanks very much. I'll leave it there, Hafid. Thank you very much for joining us on WION.
Pleasure.
All right, let's get you an update from Israel. The country's parliament has passed a landmark bill mandating the death penalty for Palestinian prisoners convicted of deadly attacks. In response, the Association for Civil Rights in Israel has filed the first petition in the Supreme Court challenging the Knesset's decision. Pandemonium and celebration erupted in the Knesset as the final tally was announced.
כי הצעת חוק עונש מוות למחבלים תש"פ
בעד חילי טרופר נגד
62 lawmakers, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, voted in favor of the bill, while 48 voted against the bill, championed by far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir.
In favor of death penalty bill, 62. 48 against, 1 absentee. I determine that bill offer death penalty for terrorists TSHPV, year according to Jewish calendar, 2026, has passed in second and third readings, and the law will be included in the Book of Laws of the State of Israel. Jewish blessing. The people of Israel live on.
The bill, a key demand of Prime Minister Netanyahu's far-right coalition partners, establishes hanging as the default punishment for acts of terrorism resulting in death. It states hanging should be carried out within 90 days of sentencing, while the sentence can be reduced to life imprisonment under special circumstances. The law is designed to be a rigid deterrent. The historical weight of this decision is significant. Israel effectively abolished the death penalty for murder back in 1954. The only person ever executed after a civilian trial was Adolf Eichmann, an architect of the Nazi Holocaust in 1962.
From today onward, every terrorist shall know, and the whole world shall know, he who takes life, the State of Israel, will take his life. This justice needs to be seen and done, and starting tomorrow morning, with the help of the blessed God, it will be done.
The legislation has drawn international criticism of Israel. Several critics argue that the law is structurally discriminatory. In the West Bank, Palestinians have been tried in military courts, where the death penalty will now be the standard for lethal attacks. While in contrast, civilian courts which try Israeli citizens only apply the death sentence if the act was carried out with the intent of harming an Israeli citizen or resident, with the goal of ending the existence of the State of Israel. The Association for Civil Rights in Israel has now filed a petition with the Supreme Court to annul this law, calling it institutionalized discrimination.
The adoption of this law by the Knesset in the second and third readings would pose a major threat to the lives of detainees. The Israeli authorities were practicing for the past 2 years and a half, specifically since the genocide war that was committed by the occupation. They practiced slow-killing practices that have led to the deaths of more than 100 prisoners.
Meanwhile, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas condemned the legislation as a breach of international law and a doomed bid meant to intimidate Palestinians. For families living in the West Bank, the news is a nightmare that has now come true.
To be honest, as a father, I got affected because this is unfair law. According to international law, he is a war prisoner, he should be treated well. But to be executed, this is barbaric.
Palestinian militant group Hamas, meanwhile, has slammed the Knesset's approval of the bill, calling Israel's policy one based on killing and terrorism. It has called on Palestinians to launch attacks in retaliation for this law. Florida Governor DeSantis has signed a bill to rename Palm Beach International Airport after U.S. President Donald Trump. This legislation, approved by Florida lawmakers largely along party lines, would rebrand the airport as President Donald J. Trump International Airport. The airport's renaming is still subject to approval from the Federal Aviation Administration, or the FAA, and the completion of necessary rights agreements. However, the FFA has clarified that changing an airport's name is a local decision and does not require federal approval. But the agency noted that it must still carry out administrative updates, such as revising navigational charts and database, before the new name is fully implemented. The change is expected to take effect in July this year and reflects Donald Trump's strong ties with the region, where his Mar-a-Lago residence is located. The move also comes amid broader efforts to attach Trump's name to public institutions and projects. While keeping with updates from America, a satirical art installation featuring a gilded toilet throne on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. is drawing large crowds, taking aim at Donald Trump and the reported renovations at the White House. Styled to resemble marble and gold, this piece includes a plaque which reads, "A throne fit for a king," using sharp symbolism to critique presidential priorities during a time of political and economic strain. Take a look at these visuals. Shifting focus now, Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is pushing for a major electoral reform. This comes days after a crushing defeat in a constitutional referendum. Meloni has now proposed a new election process which gives her party a greater chance at securing a majority in next year's election. An overhaul of Italy's electoral system will change the way parliamentarians are chosen. Under the proposed system, all the lawmakers will be elected through a proportional representation system. This means parties will be awarded seats in the parliament as per their vote share. But there is a caveat to this. If any party or coalition crosses 40% vote share mark, it will automatically be awarded a majority of the seats in the parliament. Elections under Italy's existing system are divided in two parts. 1/3 of the lawmakers are chosen through a direct election, while the rest are elected through a proportional representation system. Giorgia Meloni is eyeing a return in 2027, but the recent defeat of the judicial reforms proposed by her party has dented her unbeatable image. 2 government ministers have resigned since. While Meloni's ruling coalition is currently leading in opinion polls, it may fall short of a majority in the upcoming Italian election as leftist parties have forged an alliance.
Ready pop, ready open. Ready close, ready shut.
Nepal's newly elected government is moving to implement its reform agenda. Prime Minister Balendra Shah has now decided to form a task force to prepare a paper on the amendments to the Nepalese constitution. The decision was made at a cabinet meeting in Kathmandu. This task force will be chaired by the Prime Minister's political advisor. It will have members from all political parties, which have members in the parliament. The move, remember, is in line with the ruling Rashtra Swatantra Party's election manifesto. Nepal's Minister of Education, Sasmit Pokhrel, said that the amendments require consensus among all political parties. He's also added that the task force will prepare a paper of constitution reform based on national consensus. The power dynamics in Nepal's parliament make it crucial for the government to have support from opposition parties. Despite commanding a near 2/3 majority in the Nepali parliament's lower house, Balendra Shah's party lacks the numbers in the upper house. And this makes it difficult to secure the required votes to pass the amendment. The most contentious issue in these reforms remains the election of the president. The ruling party is proposing direct elections for the post of the president, while the opposition parties want to carry on with the existing system of indirect election by an electoral college. And our correspondent Saloni Murarka has sent us this report from Kathmandu with more details. Take a listen.
The Balendra Shah-led government has reignited constitution amendment debate, forming a task force and signalling a political intent. However, the path forward is anything but smooth. Even though the ruling bloc has strong numbers in the lower house, it lacks enough numbers in the upper house, which is required to pass any amendment. More importantly, major political parties do not agree on the changes that needs to be made. The Rashtra Swatantra Party, which holds majority in the lower house, is calling for a directly elected president, while the Nepali Congress supports the current system. So in Nepal, rewriting the constitution isn't just about votes, it's about consensus. And that consensus at the moment remains elusive. I'm Saloni Murarka, reporting for WION from Kathmandu, Nepal.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Race to Power. As always, we will keep getting you analysis and updates from India and across the world. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Bye-bye.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. international war crimes, and millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
In West Asia, every move shifts the world's balance. Wars, ceasefires, alliances, power never stands still. From Tehran to Tel Aviv, from Damascus to Doha, the West Asia Post cuts through the chaos to reveal the region that shapes the world. Because what happens in West Asia never stays in West Asia. This is the West Asia Post, the region's story, the world's impact.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Beyond the noise and rhetoric, no election, no ballot issue too small. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. More than just headlines. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power. Only on WION. World is One.
Get the latest updates.
Destroy their
breaking
missiles
news.
And raise their...
Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is One. 5 states, one powerful voice. From Tamil Nadu to West Bengal. Kerala to Assam. Every vote shapes the future. Get the election pulse only on WION. In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One.
In West Asia, every move shifts the world's balance. Wars, ceasefires, alliances, power never stands still. From Tehran to Tel Aviv, from Damascus to Doha, the West Asia Post cuts through the chaos to reveal the region that shapes the world. Because what happens in West Asia never stays in West Asia. This is the West Asia Post, the region's story, the world's impact.
Hello and welcome. You're watching WION World. My name is Mohammed Saleh and these are the headlines.